Let's say it's 1985. Apologies for the bad signal on my time machine. You've been rocking your Commodore 64 for a year, and as usual you get it out, move it a bit to make place for your dataset, get out your heavy power brick and plug in the cables. Go to your cassette cabinet and take out 2 games you like. Let's say 3D Klooper and Rattler. Put them next to your dataset, and since you're a proper gamer you go back to the cabinet and also get out 2 games you copied of your friend. Before we boot up the C64, we fast forward to the year 2022. We get out the Commodore 64, that amazingly still works, put down an aftermarket power supply that is a bit safer to use, and put down the Tapuino. The what? Yes, a Tapuino. Let's take a bit of a closer look. This is the Tapuino. I got this from the Dutch version of eBay. It's made by a hobbyist that sells his projects on there. It's very small. This is it compared to a mini cassette, and here a standard cassette, the media it's actually replacing. Let's remove the LCD so we can take a closer look. As the name makes quite clear, it runs on a type of Arduino Nano, with a button here, 2 LEDs, a select button, a board, and previous and next. This thing is designed by Edu Arana. Arana? I checked this website out, a very impressive store with loads of projects compatible with various old computers and consoles. On the bottom we find a micro SD card. It's quite hard to get it out. As expected, it uses the standard cartridge connector also used by the datasets. You can connect an LCD to the Tapuino so you know what file you're trying to load. Let's peel off the factory screen protector. Just a standard LCD with a nice 3D printed stand. I also wanted to quickly show the power supply I used to power my Commodore 64s. This came all the way from the Czech Republic and has a nice design. I think it's a small project done by someone who's a retro enthusiast as well. It has an, I believe, OLED screen that displays the voltage outputs and shows how long it has been running your 64. It also has the plug to power the 1541.2 disk drive. Before we give the Tapuino a try, I wanted to play a couple of cassette games to give you an idea of what it's like. Warning, I'm a very bad gamer. Let's start with 3D Klooper. Then we press Shift Run Stop and play, and the cassette loads. It's found. And then the load screen that is just there so you know the computer is doing something. Fast forward and the game is loaded. Luckily, the game came with a small manual on the cover. You're trapped in a maze-like city where all the streets look the same, but you're not alone. The streets are patrolled by strange mutations called bloopers. They're out to get you. How long will you survive? Well, knowing my game skills, probably not long. You can use a joystick or the keyboard to play it. It's a fun game, but with the tripod between me and the computer, it was hard to play. But the bloopers really sneak up on you, but a simple and fun game I wouldn't mind to come back to occasionally. I tried both options, joystick and keyboard. I haven't got a good C64 joystick at the moment. Most of them are a bit faulty and need some repairs. By the way, I have 5 datasets waiting to be restored. When I get around to fixing those, I'll tell a little bit more about their history and how they work and why they use the interface they use. Moving on to Rattler. To be honest, I don't want to talk about this one, mainly because I suck at it. It was so hard at the angle I was in, and I'm a newbie to the keyboard controls. So here's a demo, but I won't show you how I played. I also wanted to load some homemade cassettes, see if they are slower since they might not have the routines used by game makers to speed up loading using cassette tapes. It quite shows that there's a fraction of the tape used in factory dubbed cassettes. I had problems loading the homemade cassettes, although I managed to get this loaded, a turbo loader of some kind that also has basic capabilities. We'll take a closer look at these types of cassettes in a future video, but for now I want to move on to the star of the show, the Tapuino. So I removed the dataset and plugged in the Tapuino. Very easy and saves up a lot of space on your desk. Let's turn on the 64. It takes about 5 seconds to initialize, then this pops up on the screen. You can select the following modes: play, record and options. Let's start by loading a game that was already on the microSD card. It has these games sorted by title, but here in the folder named C64 tab files they're sorted by publisher. Ocean, Codemaster and Activision. Let's load the first game. It takes a second to get the hang of the controls, but after that it's very easy. I think the Addams Family game will be fun to try. So you select it, press Shift Run Stop and then load the game, which I believe takes the same time as loading it from the dataset. So you get the loading screen. Press fire, and then this awesome intro screen. Takes you right back to a time my existence is part of the distant future. And then the game was loaded. It's a runner type game, which is nice to play, although the sound is a bit harsh sometimes. Before we move on to the next game, let's take a quick look at the available options. You can select what machine you're using, like C64, VIC for VIC-20 and C16. The video modes are PAL or NTSC. Invert on or off, you can select the key speed and ticker speed. Record finalize, I will have to do more research on what that does. The Tapuino didn't come with a manual. And you can turn off auto finalize if you want. Moving on to ATV Simulator. I had to look up the controls and what joystick port it uses, but fun and mostly hard to play. Don't see myself having a career in ATV driving very soon. I also loaded Ghostbusters 2 and another amazing load screen. Who you're gonna call? Well, I hope not me, because I need some practice with this game, but also fun to play, and I will definitely fire this up in the future. I also got this Clonemaster with the Tapuino. It gives you the option to hook up more than one dataset to the cassette port of the C64 and give you the option to copy games over and make backups. I spent I think 2 hours trying to copy over 3D Glooper to the Tapuino. Well, the fact the door didn't want to close should have been a warning sign to me. A warning sign I missed because it failed every attempt I did at copying the game, and to make things even worse, I managed to break the cassette because now my C64 doesn't want to load it correctly anymore. The data seems to be corrupted. I really don't get how that happened because I never touched the record button on the dataset, so how did it write data to the cassette? Interestingly, when I took a look at the files the Tapuino recorded, I saw they contained some data, probably a sort of empty audio file. Let's come back to the Clonemaster in a future video and see if we can duplicate the tape. I put the SD card in my computer and it was very easy to load files to it. And the internet is filled with loads of tab files. I'll link a couple of sites below. So overall I think the Tapuino can be a nice addition to your Commodore collection, to have a lot of games on hand without loads of cabinets filled with cassette tapes. And also it's a little bit cheaper alternative to an SD to IEC, I believe. I have thought about getting one of those for a while, but I mainly prefer, as I show in my unboxing videos, to buy vintage hardware and physical media, because I think it's a lot of fun to load those real-life clunky cassettes and floppy disks. Also, a minor disadvantage I found was, but that mainly influenced me as a retro amateur, that for most games it's nice to read the manual, so you know the controls and what to do. I had to Google most of them, where the cassettes like 3D Glooper have the manual on the insert, which makes it a little bit easier to play. But that is just my humble opinion. If you want a Tapuino, I put some links to eBay ads selling similar devices to the one I have. Also, there will be links to the site of the creator and where I got my tab files. For now, thanks for watching.